Owning a business isn't just an occupation, it's a legacy for those you want to pass it on to. At Sandy Spring Trust, succession planning is one of the many aspects of wealth services we provide. We'll work with you one-on-one to answer questions and advise you on valuations, transfer of ownership, and much more. What's your next financial destination? Visit sandyspringbank.com/wealth. Wealth and insurance products are not FDIC insured, not guaranteed, and may lose value. Wealth products offered by Sandy Spring Trust, a division of Sandy Spring Bank.
Hello, Gaiman's Gaiman, parentheses, gender neutral. I'm Lauren Shippen, professional writer who wishes that she had the kind of presence and gravitas on Tumblr that Neil Gaiman has.
And I'm Cher McAnelly, head of entertainment at Tumblr and Neil Gaiman reblogger.
And this is Dashboard Diaries, a podcast for you, the folks who are in this internet bunker with us. We talk about what's going on our favorite hell site, get into what we like to call Tumblr lore, do fandom deep dives, and share the times when we've gone feral over a new ship. And as you can probably guess, we're going to be getting into Tumblr's, I think, longest standing and most beloved celebrity in a little bit. But first, Cher, what has your last month on Tumblr been like?
My last month on Tumblr, both maybe surprisingly and unsurprisingly, Lauren, has been pretty much exclusively Neil Gaiman related.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
Which honestly fits very fitting for this episode. But Dead Boy Detectives came out a few weeks ago, and we did a big, interview with the cast. And obviously, it's been one of the top shows on Tumblr since, as soon as it premiered. And Neil Gaiman has been, super actively reblogging asks about it, and some of the ones from the Answer Time as well. So overall, really big on, I feel like maybe 85% of everything I've done and seen on Tumblr over the past month has been Neil Gaiman, with that 15% being Bridgerton, because we have that coming up too. Very excited about it. But also, the Fairy versus Walrus has returned, or maybe never left, because it tied in with the Dead Boy Detectives and kind of Neil Gaiman universe of it all, which we will talk about. So yeah, my last month on Tumblr was very on brand. How about you, Lauren?
That. Yeah, I mean, I think I've been somewhat skirting the Dead Boy Detective post just because I haven't actually watched it yet. It is on my list, but my partner and I just got fully sunk into Shogun and couldn't find our way out until we finished it. So now we actually finished it last night. So now we're ready for a new show to watch together. So I mean, yeah, I did finally dive into the Shogun tag. I don't know if you've watched it, Cher, but
I have not yet.
It is remarkable. I just thought it was excellent. It was just so well written and so well acted and beautiful and compelling. And on top of that, I've also been watching by myself without my partner, who does want to watch Dead Boy Detectives, hence why I haven't tackled that one yet. I've been finally watching Black Sails, which is a show that Tumblr has loved for many, many years. I think the show first premiered about 10 years ago, and that I've been seeing on my dash for a very long time, but that has been on Starz exclusively up until quite recently, and now it's on Netflix. And so I have finally dove into the Black Sails sort of journey and fandom. I'm in season 3 and I'm greatly enjoying it. But it's interesting because Shogun takes place in about sometime in the 1600s, and Black Sails takes place in the early 1700s. So I feel like I've been really I've been in a particular time period, I feel like, of Tumblr fandom. I've sort of been in that pirates and, all of that kind of stuff, crappy one-shot guns and things like that, which has just been fun. It always really makes me I don't know, emotional in a particular kind of way that people can get so excited about stories of people from hundreds of years ago. I don't know. There's just something about the way that stories connect us through the years and all of that. Shogun is based off of a book that was written in the 70s, and Black Sails is a prequel to Treasure Island, which was written, 100 plus years ago. I forget exactly when. And so I don't know, there's just something about the universality of stories that's really getting me this month.
That's wonderful. Yeah, and I agree. I think it's so fantastic that, we can essentially visit these times and places, both, both in ways that are accurate and ways that are not so historically accurate, and kind of like, get to explore these worlds through so many different lenses and ways. I mean, it's so like special. And then the fact that you can go and then connect about these worlds and create within these worlds with fanfic and like everything, like fan art and all the other things that come out of it, it really is just like, just because time passes doesn't mean that story, like the story doesn't actually end when you close the book, or like the book is still there and it's still like, I don't know, there's so much more like contained, like it's always happening. The story is technically always happening, right? And because
I love that.
You can always, open to any page, and that's where you are.
Yeah, that's so well put. I love that so much. And that actually, I think, is a perfect segue into our main topic of Neil Gaiman, because so many of Neil Gaiman's most beloved stories involve like immortal beings and like Good Omens and Sandman give us these glimpses into the past through the lens of these characters that then we're seeing in present day. And I think that so much of his storytelling is about kind of the human experience and how it doesn't actually really change that much over time, right? Like people have always been people, and I think that's what makes his writing, one of the things that makes his writing so compelling and makes him such a compelling creator, and one of the creators who has been on Tumblr the longest. So I mean, Cher, what is your relationship to Neil Gaiman and Tumblr? Like what was kind of like your first awareness of him, either as a creator or him on Tumblr, or both?
I think I was first aware of Neil Gaiman I've been aware of Neil Gaiman's work before I was aware of Neil Gaiman, which obviously I've come to realize because his body of work is just so enormous. I was first aware of Neil Gaiman and his relationship with the Tumblr user base, his connection with the community, Neil on Tumblr, around the time that Good Omens came out. Because we did an answer time with Neil around Good Omens season 1, and then Good Omens just immediately became, the biggest, like it was the number one topic on Tumblr of the year in 2019 when it came out, followed by BTS, as in the K-pop group,
that's
at
wild,
number 2, and Marvel at number 3.
Oh my god. And the first season of Good Omens is 6 episodes. And I know that it's a book that has had a previous fandom, but like that's crazy. That's crazy.
It's like it was just a truly like an unbelievable thing. And we did a history of Good Omens post as part of our year in review in 2019, and it included some facts about Neil Gaiman on Tumblr, including that he answered over 1,000 asks in 2019. I haven't calculated exactly how many asks he's answered since then, but I'm pretty positive it's 1,000 plus per year.
That's so crazy.
It's wild to me. And so as soon as it's just, I really can't think of anyone else who has used Tumblr in the way that Neil has and does. And he joined in June 2011, and he immediately started posting pretty heavily and has just really continued. And it's just so it makes so much sense to me that his shows and films and just books are as big as they are on Tumblr, not only because of the subject matter, which is just, so fantastically Tumblr in every sense of the word, but also because of the way that he, engages directly with the community and is actually a part of the community. Like he's there, users can feel or fans can feel like they're directly speaking to him because they are, and he's speaking back.
Right.
Yeah. And I think how you said that Neil deals with so many, things like some of the oldest stories and they the gods and the mythology and things, and which kind of clicked for me when I was prepping for this episode. I wrote, write this. Is Neil so popular on Tumblr because he's writing fanfic about some of the oldest stories on Earth?
Yes. Oh my God. I love that. I mean, one of the questions that he gets asked the most is about his views on fan fiction, right? And I dove deep back into his archive on Tumblr, and was shocked to see that he joined in 2011. That's crazy. And then I filtered the post by ask type, and It's crazy. It's crazy.
I also love that he has an FAQ on the pinned to the top of his blog, and then a user has also created an FAQ that he also deep links to,
which is so. I mean, like when you have to have an FAQ about about the questions that you receive, like you know that you've really reached something. This is back in 2021, so something that he answered a little bit more recently. But somebody asked, "Do you consider fan fiction legitimate writing?" And he said, "I won the 2004 Hugo Award for Best Short Story for an H.P. Lovecraft Arthur Conan Doyle mashup fiction. So fan fiction had better be legitimate because I'm not giving the Hugo back." Or the 2005 Locus Award for Best Novelette. I'm not giving that back either. I don't know what the 2005 Locus Award was for, but I think that's. I think, he very much admits that like a lot of what he's doing, or some of what he's doing, is fan fiction. I mean, Good Omens is the Bible, and The Sandman is a bunch of different mythologies sort of wrapped up into one, then with this whole new mythology on top of it. What was the first Neil Gaiman creation that you encountered, like as a reader or viewer, or?
Stardust.
Oh, Stardust. I always forget about Stardust.
I love Stardust.
I always forget that that's Neil, too.
Gosh, right?
Oh, it's so great.
One of my favorite movies, honestly. And just...
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying... When did that come out? It came out
2007?
Okay, so it came out the year that Tumblr launched.
Oh, I think it came out in 2007.
Yeah, you're right. It did come out in 2007. July 29th, 2007. So it came out 5 months after... 5 months after Tumblr launched. Wow.
That's incredible. Wow. Match made in heaven.
Right. Truly,
what a
look
year.
At that. What a year for the internet. What a year for Neil. What a year for us.
Seriously.
What about you? What was your first piece of Neil? What's the word I'm looking for? Not I keep thinking discography. Neil.
Neil discography.
He's also a DJ. Repertoire. What's your favorite piece?
Repertoire.
Is that the right word?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. So when I was a very, big reader as a child, and really enjoyed fantasy, science fiction, all stuff like that. And so mostly for my birthdays, from relatives, I would get books. And for my 12th birthday, I believe, I was gifted Coraline. And it was, I don't know what edition it was. I don't know when that book was first published, but the cover of it, I'll see if I can dig up the original cover that I had, was like a very Edward Gorey kind of style cover. Mm-hmm. And it, just a little creepy. And I read the book, and it absolutely fucking terrified me. I was so scared after reading it that, I kid you not, I hid it behind the other books on my bookshelf so that I didn't have to see it. And I think it says a lot that I didn't get rid of the book, right? Because it's I enjoyed the book, but I was so scared of it. And then I remember seeing a quote from Neil Gaiman years and years later that I'm going to very badly paraphrase. I'll see if I can find the original thing and post it, which is basically just him saying, Coraline is my strangest book because it delights children and terrifies adults. And I think that I was just at just the wrong age to be reading it. I think I was a little bit too old, where all of a sudden I understood the deeper themes of the book. Mm-hmm. And that was really, really scary to me.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
You're so right. I haven't heard that quote before, and it's just so accurate.
Right?
Wow.
Have you read it?
I have not read it. I've seen it, and was so deeply terrified by the film.
I have yet to see the movie because
oh my
I
God.
was too scared to.
The mom with the button eyes, I am right now, that's sleep paralysis demon. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I looked it up while the book came out in 2002.
Okay. So yeah, I turned 12 in 2003. So yeah, it would have been. And yeah, if you look up the book, if you just Google Coraline book, the first Google image is the cover, and it's Coraline with holding a candle, and just it's just a very eerie painting of a girl, right? It's creepy. And I think I really do want to see the film. I live in Seattle, and there is a museum of pop culture here, the Mopop, and it does a bunch of cool exhibits. And it did an exhibit on the studio that did Coraline and Kubo and the Two Strings and all of those stop motion movies. And so they had a bunch of the models and sets from Coraline, and it's just exceptional craft, right? Like, just absolutely stunning.
Did Tim Burton do Coraline?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Because Coraline makes me think of James and the Giant Peach.
Totally.
Is also not Tim Burton. Well, which makes so much sense because Henry Selick did James and the Giant Peach.
Right. And Nightmare Before Christmas, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. Which why did I put Tim Burton? I mean, it makes sense.
No, I mean, a lot of people
like Tim Burton in the for Nightmare Before Christmas.
A lot of people think that Tim Burton directed Nightmare Before Christmas, and did he write it? Was he a producer? Like, what is Tim Burton's connection to Nightmare Before Christmas?
Just vibes.
Story vibe. Yes. Yeah. He did the story for it. Just vibes.
That makes sense.
So that was my first encounter with Neil Gaiman. But then
terrifying entry into the world.
Terrifying. And like, I just didn't read any of his stuff then for years because it was scarring. And like, if Neil Gaiman happens to hear this, I don't know how he ever would. I mean that as a compliment. It was very effective. Same way where it's like the first time I read The Shining when I was like 20, I was like, wow, this is really good. And I can't read any Stephen King for at least 3 years because it's so scary.
Yep.
But I think then I sort of became aware of him as a person sort of through Tumblr, and then read American Gods and just like absolutely loved that book. Still love that book. And now here we are, and I'm a big fan.
And great show as well. And I also need to read all of Neil Gaiman's books. I love every single show and film that comes out.
Same. Yeah, I need to do a deeper dive into the discography.
Of Neil's discography, which as we say is remixes of originals of some of the oldest stories and lore in the world. Which is your favorite, or which one stands out the most for you?
Ooh. I mean, I do love the Bible fanfic, I have to say. I do love the good immortal beings. But okay, so yeah, Neil's wonderful art aside, like, we could just talk about that forever. But I do want to talk specifically about Neil on Tumblr, because like, we sort of refer to him as Uncle Neil, like between the two of us, and I think other people do as well. He is sort of like, I would say him, Linda Carter, and Will Wheaton are sort of like the celebrities that get Tumblr, right?
Yeah.
They like participate in the in-jokes, they reblog things, they're not just there. Like, Neil isn't just answering asks on his Tumblr. He's also reblogging things, right? Like, he's also engaging with the ecosystem. Are there any other, like, I guess as somebody who's sort of behind the scenes on Tumblr, like, what's your view on that? What's your insight on that? Is it sort of like lightning in a bottle? Only these three people have really been able to achieve it. Have you ever, seen, you have to name names, but like seen someone like attempt to try and understand Tumblr and not be able to because they're not from that world? Like, what's your view on all of that?
I mean, I've definitely, I wouldn't say it's lightning in a bottle, but I think, yes, he absolutely gets it, like, and understands Tumblr and, his fans and the audience and like the community and how to engage with the community in a really authentic way. But I also think that what he is, the reason that what he is doing on Tumblr is so special is because he's engaging with the community at like meeting everyone at the same level. Like, we are like, I feel like very much Neil Gaiman's Tumblr presence is kind of like you're at like a cocktail party or some kind of like event, and people are coming up and chatting with him and asking questions, and he's engaging as well. Like, it feels very much like, he's reblogging stuff and not just posts that pertain to him or his work, but also he's fully involved in the memes. Every year he reblogs Neil banging out the tunes on April 13th, and he doesn't just answer asks about his titles either. One of my favorite asks that I saw recently was, Neil, when you type on your phone, does it when you type wait, does your phone autocomplete guess and see? And Neil was like, let me try. It typed out wait and see. I was like, yes, it does. So like those little things, it's
That's
just like
awesome.
I think the reason he has such a special connection with the Tumblr audience is because he is just having like he's just here with us having a conversation, you know, and like it feels very yes, obviously we know that him being on Tumblr increases the engagement and communities around his work, of course.
Sure.
But that doesn't feel like why he's here. He's really like, he seems to be on Tumblr because he like loves engaging with the community. He is passionate about the work that he does, and he wants to, you know, connect with those who feel this, like connect with people who feel the same way. And I think that is kind of what feels special, is like meeting the community where they are and like being just authentic and passionate about it, and not too polished or promotional in any sense.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's something that kind of continues to astound me, the fact that he's like been on the platform for 13 years and has only become more prolific as a creator and more famous and more well known as his things get adapted into these very successful TV shows, you know? And I think that this is something I think about a lot as a creator who's also like on Tumblr and loves engaging with Tumblr fandom, both the fandoms that I'm in and the fandoms for the things that I make, and how hard it can be to strike a balance of being involved and engaged with your community and the community of people who are excited about the thing that you're excited about, but also not run roughshod over what Tumblr is first and foremost, which is a fan space, right? Like, I think that that is what makes Tumblr unique from other places, right? Like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of those places, like you can engage with fandom there, but like when you engage with a celebrity there, like all of the celebrities are there. And so it's very much like this kind of like formal thing. Whereas like, I think when celebrities are on Tumblr, it's a little bit like, you've come into our house. And so you have to like, you know, behave as a guest in our house. And I think that Neil just like does a beautiful job of that, right? Like he understands that like, even as much as he is a fan of things too, that he on his public Tumblr, like who knows, maybe he's got a private Tumblr that he like, you know, fans all over about other things, that he is different from the average Tumblr user, right? I feel like he like understands and takes that responsibility seriously, because I do think it's a responsibility to like not intrude upon the space where fans are enjoying your thing without sort of your prying creator god eyes, right?
100%. And I think, he does that in such a good way because of those, you know, boundaries that he sets, like about fanfic, for example. He doesn't read or look at fanfic. And for, you know, for very valid reason, you know, he said that, you know, of course, because issue. I am always, it's a legal issue. I'm always writing, like, I just legally can't look at it. But I think that's a great thing. You know,
absolutely.
And the same thing, you know, with so much fan art and fan work is, you know, he encouraged, I believe, we'll double check, but I believe he encourages fan art to be sent to him. And he, you know, he shares fan art very extensively. And I think that, again, is, you know, not some users or fans are posting their work not because they want the creator to see it, you know, and they often would really, really rather that not happen. And I think, he is at like special, like he has a special connection and understanding of the community and understanding of that. He's very understanding of the fact that there is a lot of content on platform about the work that he's created that the creators might not want him to see. And I think, he strikes that balance really well. And that's, as you said, what is so special is he's, a lot of the times users are saying, hey, did you know it's the 13th? Are you ready to bang out the tunes? You know, that kind of stuff. Like he responds a lot to kind of the, not direction of, but kind of, you know, prompts from the community. I would say. He reads the room. He reads the room.
That's exactly it. He reads the room. That's a very, very good way of putting it. And I mean, I think I've modeled a lot of my, you know, I've mentioned this plenty of times on this show before, but I have my like actual Tumblr that I spend most of my time scrolling on that has been like carefully curated over a decade, that, you know, I've got like 90 followers on there and they're all mutuals basically, right? But then I've got my actual like public facing Tumblr, and I think I've modeled a lot of like my behavior on there off of Neil, right? And sort of like I've learned a lot about how to be a creator on the internet from him, because it's like, yeah, I can't look. I mean, now I can look at fan fiction for the Bright Sessions if I wanted to, but I haven't yet because I'm done with that story. But like, I can't look at fan fiction, but I want people to write it. But I want people to send me fan art, right? Because that I can look at and it's fine. And also, you know, it's like I always make sure that people know, like, if you don't want me to reblog something, just put in the tags like, Lauren, don't look at this, right? Because it's like, I also know, like, part of why I have a very secret Tumblr that is just me and my mutuals is because I am in the entertainment industry, and I do work with a lot of people who are in or made my favorite things, right? And sort of back in 2018, 2019, and as I was starting to get more of these jobs, I just like shut that and I sort of like shut down, because I used to do a YouTube channel about Tumblr, right? And like that Tumblr was, you know, used to be, but I literally soft blocked everybody except for my mutuals, and then just like nuked the URL and all that kind of stuff, because it was like, I don't want the creators of my favorite things to be seeing what I'm talking about, because like I might have to work with them.
Yep.
And that's and so like, and that's also, I think, something that that like I imagine Neil Gaiman doesn't have to worry about, because he's Neil Gaiman, right? And so it's like he can kind of do whatever he wants. But also, like, whenever I'm engaging with fandoms that I'm a part of on Tumblr, I sort of have to think like, is this a fandom that I would be likely to end up working with the people involved? You know, it's like, that's why I reblog so much like 911 stuff, right? Because it's like, the chances of me ever encountering any of the people involved with that show are like really small, just given the genre that it is and it's TV and all that kind of stuff. And so it's like, feels like safe to sort of like be a fan in that space. But I've gone completely off topic here, but it is something that like whenever I'm thinking about Neil Gaiman on Tumblr, I'm always thinking about like my own behavior on the platform.
And I think that one of the reasons Neil gets Tumblr so much is because he really, you know, is himself a Tumblr user whose, you know, stories have escaped containment. It was just, he was writing before Tumblr existed. You know, but I feel like if Neil was a teenager just starting out when Tumblr also launched and he was just starting his writing work, I feel like a lot of it would have been posted on Tumblr.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a very good point. I wonder, what do you think the odds are that Neil also has an AO3 that no one knows about?
I would say that the odds are yes. And I'm not saying this because I know it. I don't know for sure, but I know for sure.
Right.
Like, yes, he does. Yeah.
He does.
Like, we can't officially say that he does. We don't know that for sure. But like, right? What do you think? Yeah. I would so love to know what he's writing on there. If he's or
reading,
or
right?
reading. Oh my God. Like, I think another reason that like he connects so well with the Tumblr community is because he genuinely wants to be on platform. He wants to be on Tumblr. He wants to be answering these asks and sharing and like reblogging and just, you know, participating in the community. We just know that he wants to be here answering these asks. It feels authentic because he's just like, I want to see if my autocomplete says wait and see.
The idea that you can just sort of be on a platform, being yourself, enjoying things, and then that, like, you know, drives people to your art is such a... Tumblr truly is the only place on the internet that exists anymore, in my opinion.
And I looked back on fandom, and he's been one of the top 20 celebrities of the week. Every single week, maybe, like, I think he drops off, like, maybe, like, there's a week or two a year that he wasn't in, that he dropped off for, like, a week or two for whatever reason. But, like, since we've been tracking this. So he has consistently, on Tumblr, been one of the top 20 most talked about people. Essentially since he joined the platform. Which is just
crazy. And
I honestly think it's because he's continued the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the way that he has that conversation, right? His answers are often very, either they're, you know, incredibly thoughtful musings on writing, or they're like very pithy short answers. And to that end, I've got a little quiz for you, which is I'm going to read to you 3 asks that Neil answered on his Tumblr, and you have to tell me which is the fake question reply.
Okay.
First, someone asked, "Are you coin operated?" And he answered, "I'm afraid not." Someone asked, "Does Aziraphale cry holy water?" And he answered, "Yes." And someone asked, how do you take your coffee? And he answered, orally.
I'm sorry.
One of these things.
Is this two truths and a lie? Is that just...
Yeah, basically two truths and one of these question answers.
Two Neils and a no.
Combos. Two Neils and a no. Exactly. Two Neils and a no.
This is a great game on, you know? Okay. Sorry. I think, God, that is hard. That is really challenging because any one of them can be. I feel like orally is going to be my guess, is the one that he
For
didn't.
the lie.
Yeah. I'm wrong, huh?
So, yeah. So,
yeah, no, you are wrong.
You're wrong. And I will say, I did kind of, I did, this was sort of a trick question because I was looking through all of his asks and I was like, I don't know that I can like come up with anything more outlandish than like this particular ask. And so like, technically all of the asks are real. The one that was a lie is when someone asked, does Aziraphale cry holy water? He responded, no. So Aziraphale does not cry holy water. Though I do like that idea that he does. But yeah, no, when someone asked back in 2011, when I say I went into his archives, I mean, I went into his archives.
Oh my gosh.
So on October 26, 2011, a now deactivated blog asked, how do you take your coffee? And he responded orally.
Incredible. See, and again,
somehow this only has 594 notes, and that is going to change when we reblog it.
100%. See, his contains multitudes.
Truly. So, speaking of diving back deep into archives, let's round out our discussion this week with our dashboard confessionals. Cher, what do you have from your archives today?
I have a fun little post that I reblogged from Handjob in 2016. But the post was originally from user Grawley. And it's
but you personally reblogged
I personally reblogged it from Handjob, yeah. So just to clarify. And it's a reblog chain. The first post says, "What did Tumblr look like back in the 90s?" And then Grawley reblogged, and it's a gift set of like very clip art looking dancing letters that say TUBR. And then someone else, Gothtia, reblogged and says, "This says tuber." And Grawley reblogged again and said, "It was the 90s." So that's.
I'm literally crying laughing right now. The moment I opened this, I lost it. This is so good.
What a journey.
What a journey. Oh my God, I love this post.
What about you, Laura? What do you have for us this week?
I brought two because one of them doesn't really work as far as I can tell, because one of them is a reblog from 2015. And it is a Vine, and the embedded Vine video, I think, maybe doesn't work anymore because Vine does no longer exist. It is a little golden retriever puppy in someone's lap, and he's drumming the drum break of Can You Feel in the Air Tonight? And it's very, very good. I'm going to try and find it on YouTube and just post it in a reblog of this post because unfortunately I cannot get the video to play. So that was one of them because I love it very much.
Oh my gosh, I definitely would love to see that, and I miss Vine every day.
Every day. And then the other one is also from 2015, and it's just like a little memory of my own, I guess, like journey on Tumblr. It's just a screenshot from an NPR article about Ask Me Another. And it's a quote from Jeffrey Cranor talking about one of his favorite descriptions of the show, Welcome to Night Vale. And it just says, it's like if Stephen King and Neil Gaiman started a game of The Sims and then just left it running forever. And I chose this post for a couple of reasons. A, the Neil Gaiman mention, right? Like, Perfect. But then also just like, I think that this is a great description of Welcome to Night Vale. And 2015, later that year, I started the Bright Sessions. I found Welcome to Night Vale on Tumblr. And so this was already when I was like deep in my Welcome to Night Vale fandom. That's the reason I started in podcasting in the first place. So it was just like a nice little origin moment for me of like, my whole career in life began here on this platform by finding a podcast. And that's lovely.
Oh my gosh. What a full circle moment. Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah.
That has me in my feels, Lauren.
Oh, perfect transition. Thank you, Cher. What does have you in your feels this month? let's go over to our Feels Corner.
Heading on over to our Feels Corner, I am feeling very emotional about the new season of Bridgerton, which will be out when...
Have you seen it?
I have. I have seen part one.
Oh, jealous.
But I'm so excited because I'm doing an interview with the cast tomorrow, and the show is just... I love the new season. I think it's great. And so back further into my feels, I rewatched Dairy Girls, and Dairy Girls is one of my favorite shows. Oh my gosh. It's so good. And I've been feeling just a lot of feels about that. And then also been the new season of Hacks. Hacks is back. One of my favorite shows, and this new season is so good. I cried during the first 2 episodes because they were just so great. And so that's all the things that have me in my feels at the moment. I'm feeling a lot, Lauren. How about you?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, Hacks was going to be one of mine as well because the portrait of a creative marriage that it shows is just creative marriages just really, really get me, right? Because it is a unique relationship that is not romantic, not platonic, but a secret third thing, right? It is that. And I think that Hacks just does such a wonderful, wonderful job of displaying that. And then, as I said, Shogun, I mean, it was really funny actually after we finished, it was, sitting on the couch with my partner, and this is a perfect example of the two people that we are. He started reading all about that particular era in historical Japan and the historical accuracy in the show. And I was like, what does Tumblr have to say about Shogun?
The two people in any relationship.
Exactly. And he was like, do you think it's a show that Tumblr would be into? And I was like, oh yeah, it's got a hot old man at the center.
Check.
Which Tumblr loves. It's got a doomed romance, which is so piney and just horribly heartbreaking. And then there's this one character, Yabashige. The hot old man is Toranaga, who's the main kind of guy aspiring to be the shogun, basically. And he's a very, very attractive 60-something-year-old man. And then there's this one character, Yabashige, who I was like, Tumblr is going to go nuts over this poor little meow meow. He starts as a terrible villain and he has this really interesting arc. And lo and behold, I pop into Tumblr and what's the first 3 posts I see? People lusting over the hot old man, people posting about Yabashige's arc, and then this doomed romance. And I was like, I know Tumblr so well. And those things have me in my feels too. Yabashige especially, I think, and the actors did such a phenomenal job. So Shogun as well as Hacks.
I love watching a show and picking out what Tumblr is going to specifically fixate over or latch onto, because it's never the main. Well, often it can be the main ship, like Good Omens and Dead Boy Detectives and a lot of shows we're talking about. It is often, yes, the main thing, but it is also often a secret third thing.
Yes, exactly. And with that, I'm Lauren Shippen, and you can find me at thelaurenShippen.tumblr.com.
And I'm Cher McAnelly, and you can find me at overshares.tumblr.com. This has been Dashboard Diaries, and
may your anons always be loving,
your dash always refreshed,
your gifts always be loading,
and your ships always canon.
May the fixer reading always be finished,
and the answers you seek always in the reblogs.
Thanks for scrolling with us.